Descent of the Demon God. By Hanjo Wiolia. Chapter 242. Side Story. Part 9. SHHHH. The ghosts were moving as they left behind a trail of white particles everywhere. Witchery. It has to be witchery. The white-haired middle-aged man couldn't believe what he was seeing. Of course, considering that he was using the dead people, bringing in ghosts isn't such a huge deal, but it made no sense. Kill him. Anything which can be seen with human eyes can be killed, or so he thought. However, JJKKK. Quack. Whenever the ghosts passed by the ghouls, they would stop moving and have their bodies turned white as if any life in them was cut off. It's beyond human understanding. The ghouls are dead, so they could move however they want to, but for them to stop moving like this. The ghouls are of no match to him. This situation was the worst. He was trying to aim to take down the Sky Demon Order with the army of the dead. But now, that army of his seemed like they would be eradicated at any moment now. Step. Step. In the midst of all that, Chun Yo-won slowly walked to them. Damn it. The eyes of the white-haired man looked at Chun Yo-won and then at Chun Woo-myung, Hu Bong, and Ko Wong-suk, who were trapped in ice. If the ghouls couldn't handle him, then the white-haired man had to figure something out to deal with him. It was then. Fat. Someone gently landed next to him. A man with dark brown hair, blue eyes, and weird lines like tattoos on his face. And the white-haired man bowed. King. Unexpectedly, this one was called the king, and the blue-eyed man asked. Who is that man? Huh? Is he really a human? The white-haired man was confused. The king of dead, the greatest monster of all times, was awakened. He resurrected from the dead and an entity that could slaughter all but now seemed vigilant against a human. He is a human. Just a monster called a living legend among humans. He hated Chun Yo-won, yet he couldn't deny the difference between the power. Monster. He deserves to be called that because there is no one other than sages who managed to push me. You cannot be careless with him. Please help us. At the request of the white-haired man, the king of dead looked around. Unlike the usual ghouls, these ones had weapons in their hands. They all seemed to have an ego in them. Are you using these ones like this? This way, the king wouldn't have to dirty his hands. Fine. The king of dead raised his hand, then blue energy flowed from him and seeped into the ghouls who were standing. All of them had a blue light flashing from their eyes. Growling, step. They took a step ahead as if they knew they were revived. At that, the white-haired man smiled. It was troubling. However, I need the power of the king of the dead to control them. The ghouls weren't the members of their clan. Even if they had an ego, they wouldn't have followed this man. The strong people who once dominated Murim. That was the identity of the ghouls, which had blue eyes. They were the ones who were resurrected to deal with the monster which defeated the Blade God. They were the absolute strong people in Murim who were acknowledged as strong by the Blade God. Hwang Heol objected to this plan. But soon, I will get revenge. This plan was opposed by all the people in the clan except for him. And if he succeeds, then they could rebuild their clan once again. One of the three yokai? Do you think you can control them? Their objections still rose in his ears. However, even at the cost of making sacrifices, he wanted to make this happen. Fat. One of the ghouls moved first. Oh. The king of dead seemed interested in it. The ghoul disappeared instantly and suddenly appeared in front of Chun Yo-won. It was a shocking speed. We can test it. The white-haired man watched his movements, and the ghoul slashed right away. As expected, the identity of one of these ghouls was the second sect leader of a famous perished clan. According to the legend, this man was so quick with his movements and Swordsmanship that he was called invincible, and no one ever managed to block his 3-second strike. Even if he knows, he won't be able to respond. It was then. Chuck. The movement of the swordsman stopped instantly, with the sound of a sword slashing. The ghoul's body with the sword was split right in half, before the sword was brought down. The white-haired man's eyes widened in shock. Huh? Chen Yuan wasn't even pulling out his sword, yet the body was cut. The ghoul, cut in half, also seemed flustered at what happened and yet still tried to bring down the blade. It was because ghouls feel no pain. However, get lost. Pack. The moment Chen Yuan took one step ahead. Shoo! The ghoul turned to ashes. Right. As expected of my lord. Hu Bong screamed excitedly at it despite being unable to move from the ice. The white-haired man just bit his lip. Kook. He didn't think that this monster, who defeated the Blade God, would be pushed back by this ghoul, but he thought at least there would be a battle for a couple minutes. But this was absurd. King. Send that person over there. The white-haired man pointed to someone. A bald man with rosary beads. The King of Dead clicked his tongue and held out the hand, then. The bald-head man moved ahead and swung at Chen Yuan. It was the Shaolin sect's leader. However, this man wasn't just a member but had a strong entity in him, and his fist suddenly reached Chen Yuan's face. Ho! He wasn't just a martial artist, but one who was at the Divine Master level. Chen Yuan held out his hand and blocked it. Pop a pack. An invisible palm extended from Chen Yuan's hand, and the force of the fist made everything around blow back, except for Chen Yuan. Meanwhile, the bald ghoul got up once again to attack. Pop a pack. It was the essence of the Shaolin Temple, the power kick. One of the 3 legendary people of Shaolin Temple, Yuk Jiang. He was a man known for his power and competence, comparable to the Dharma preacher. Among the ghouls, the ones of the Shaolin were the most difficult to find. This was because most of them were cremated and were kept as relics in their temple. However, this man had violated the principle of Shaolin and committed murders, so he didn't get the same treatment. A monstrous old man who wasn't recognized for his work. The members of the Shaolin Temple are usually given lower fame because they prioritize peace. But this man was strong. This man can surely take down the monster. Fang. The ghoul bounced back. And Chen Yuan, who used his palm to defend, used his left hand and motioned like he was pushing something. Pong! At that moment, the wind rose in their direction. And the body of the ghoul, which was being swept back, moved further back by the force of the wind and turned to ashes. Once again, the white-haired man widened his eyes in disbelief. Even the legendary Shaolin warriors couldn't last for a second? How long will you deal with him like this? Huh? The King of the Dead waved his hand. A blue light arose, and everyone waiting there rushed at Chen Yuan. Pa. There were around 40 warriors. Only this had to be done to win. Then, Chen Yuan opened his mouth. Wu Miang. He spoke in a soft voice, but it was enough for everyone to hear. Father. What was that? The white-haired man was alarmed at Chen Yuan calling his son in the middle of a fight. Chen Yuan continued. This is a technique I never showed you. Technique? Everyone was puzzled. At that moment, Chen Yuan raised his left hand. Learn this. At his father's words, Chen Wumiang nodded with a stern expression. Shoo! At that moment, tons of invisible swords that looked like faint black rays of light were created in the air. The number of swords was so many, despite all of them having the same amount of force. The white-haired man couldn't help but be shocked at this sight. Many of his subordinates and men failed to escape from this one thing. Sky flash. the technique that made Chen Yuan be known as the demon god. Chen Yuan then lowered his hand. And papapapak. Black rays of light poured down like rain from the air. The power of the sky flash right now couldn't be compared to the past. Quack quack wang. And the swords kept falling down as if they were angry. The legendary warriors who once dominated the world were hit and eradicated simultaneously. This. The white-haired man couldn't hold his shock. This was far more than what he imagined Chen Yuan could do. At that time, a ghoul moved to Chen Yuan from the side. Wang. Despite having the eyes of the dead, he shouted, "Kill that man." Bag. Before he could even reach Chen Yuan, an invisible sword hit him. What did it say? It wasn't even worth thinking about. Although the Blade God's 6 martial clan was unable to compete in the past, they had a chance, but now they felt like inferior bugs in front of him. That monster. The white-haired man looked at Chen Yuan with a distorted expression. Chen Yuan was leisurely walking with his hands on his back. It was terrifying to see him like that. Bang! Bang! The sky flash kept falling around. Swash! Quack! It fell to the Blade God's 6 martial clan members who were resurrected and to the white-haired man as well. Chen Yuan was going to kill everyone here. The ghouls, which had egos, were scared. However, bang! Bang! Once the sky flash was initiated, getting away from it was impossible as they were all aimed at the targets with the help of nano. Damn it! Huang! The white-haired man used ice chi on the invisible sword and tried to block the sword, but the moment he blocked it. And no way! Patch chick! Quack! Papa pack! His sword shattered like a piece of glass, and he was thrown out. Chen Wumyang, who saw the scene with bewildered eyes, mumbled, "You want me to learn this?" He wasn't sure how this could be learned.